the one surefire coach, and he's already had some stumbles down in Jacksonville. But Dan Campbell of Detroit, I think, is a miss. Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia is a miss. David Culley in Houston. They were so embarrassed by that hire. His opening press conference, they buried it on a Friday afternoon. They didn't even want you to hear it or see it. That's what companies do when they're trying to hide bad news. I think Nick Sirianni and David Culley will both be gone within a year. That's now acceptable in the NFL. Freddie Kitchens, Steve Wilkes in Arizona. You know, you do it. You do it with quarterbacks and coaches now. Oops, made a mistake. Let's move on. Dan Campbell had a quote yesterday, which is at best regrettable. He said, listen, I said this to Chris Spielman the other day. I was like, I kind of love the fact we're only known as meatheads. I'm a meathead. I have limited brain capacity. I like that. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? I have zero problem with it. Okay, not great. I have limited brain capacity. Well, so does Elon Musk. I mean, we all use about 10% of our brains, but you'd want to have a bigger brain than a smaller brain. I think that is not, it's self-evident. That's not a great quote. But it's interesting because during the offseason, I mean, when I make predictions, I like to get them right. I don't want to remind you, but since it's out there, I did go 7 for 7 in the AFC predicting playoff teams. 7 for 7. I'm like Copperfield over here, okay? So, but I start filling out during the offseason. I'll see things or hear things, and I'll just, in my little magic board in my head, I'll put first place, last place, whatever. I've already made 5 predictions for next year. So here's the good news. AFC East, Buffalo is going to win the division. I feel stronger about that than I do any prediction in the NFL. I think the Bucs will win the NFC South. I think the Lions, Texans, Eagles all finish dead last. You cannot win with a coach that's over his skis. So let's start with the Bills. The Jets and Miami are still rebuilding, and New England doesn't have the firepower. My takeaway is once Brian Daboll didn't get a job and came back, you're looking at a 12-4, 13-3 football team. They're going to upgrade the offensive line, get a pass rusher in the draft. Buffalo's really close to being great. They're good right now. They're not great because they have a very sporadic pass rush. Tampa Bay, second year, Arians and Brady. They'll probably have to let like a Chris Godwin go or, somebody let go. But Carolina's rebuilding. The Saints now officially are kind of rebuilding with cap space hell. I'd probably go Atlanta second right now, but they have a new coach. So I'm going to go Brady wins the NFC South. But Detroit, Texans, Philadelphia, those are last place teams. Like there's no getting over that. There's no controversy here. You can't win in this league when you are over your skis as a head coach. And it's interesting. Last year at this time, we all thought Cleveland and Washington were a mess. They both made the playoffs because they got the coach right. Ron Rivera and Kevin Stefanski. Miami 2 years ago, Joey covered them for years. They were chaotic. It was a shipwreck. They were constantly in flux. They got Brian Flores, and like 6 games into his Miami tenure, you're like, oh, they got the right coach. You can't miss on the coach. You just can't. You don't have to hire Belichick, but the good news for like a Detroit or a Houston or a Philly is the current NFL culture is you can move off a quarterback and you can move off a coach in a year. It used to be that was just a sign you failed dramatically. And I think people are over it. I mean, Arizona's like, we got the wrong coach. We got the wrong quarterback. Nobody's complaining now. Cleveland, hey, we whiffed on the coach. Nobody's complaining. Everybody likes Stefanski. So, and despite what fans may push back at, if you can't get the opening press conference right, come on now. People literally say, whoa, I mean, he was nervous. You cannot butcher the opening press conference. Go look at Nick Saban's opening press conference. It's good. Now, Belichick now can be surly, but that's what happens when you win like 6 Super Bowls. But your first press conference, you are setting a standard. You cannot be completely, utterly over your skis. We got Campbell admitting, I got limited brain capacity. We got Nick Sirianni, so nervous. And we got David Culley in Houston. The organization buried the press conference on a late Friday. Kind of tells you where you're at. Improve your diet. Improve with more protein. ButcherBox.com/herd. First, new members get 2 New York strips and a free pack of bacon. That is ButcherBox.com/HERD. The highly controversial John Ritchie former Philadelphia Eagle, who is a little bit of a rock star, came on last time he came on. Like, he told us stuff we didn't know, and within the next 2 weeks, everything he said was true. Everything he said was true. And then Antonio Daniels disagrees with me on everything, but I think he's fantastic, and he'll be joining me too. I do think I was reading that story that Joy talked about. Oh, I want to get an update. I forgot. 30 seconds left. What's the reaction to my Baker Mayfield or the field segment?
Well, I'm not going to read the one. It's inappropriate. The people are not happy with you. They'll put it that way. They're not happy. They think you are trolling everybody, which you're not. You're not. I don't allow Colin to troll.
I don't troll. I'm not a troller. Hour 3 next. Oh, here we go. Hour 2, live in L.A. It's The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Fox Sports Radio, iHeartRadio, FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. We have controversy magnet John Ritchie in the next hour, former Philadelphia Eagle. Last time he came on. So yesterday I did something, Joy Taylor.
What did you do?
That created controversy, and I didn't for a second think it was controversial. So we were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I was defending Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
And I said, you fans all beat up on him, but Belichick loved him. Kyle Shanahan traded for him, and the Niners stink when he doesn't play. Yeah, I don't love his injuries, but the kid can play. So I said, okay, listen. You have to have a top 12 quarterback in the NFL to get to Super Bowls, if you look at the recent last 20 years in the NFL. So I put out a list of what I consider the top 6 quarterbacks in the league. Again, I don't even think this is arguable. Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Wilson, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's really arguable. And then I said the next 6 we could debate. I have Matt Ryan in and I don't have Dak. Well, Matt Ryan's been an MVP and he's gotten to a Super Bowl. Dak's won a playoff game. But I said the second 6 are varied. I had in Lamar, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, Kyler Murray. And I didn't have Dak in, which, listen, if you have Dak in, I'm not going to yell and scream. Matt Ryan has been an MVP and gotten to a Super Bowl and led a Super Bowl with about 10 minutes ago. And by the way, Garoppolo, in his one full season starting, got to a Super Bowl. But I said the next 6 is, you could argue with me. It's all debatable. Cleveland fans were outraged. Not just that Baker didn't make the second 6. Many said he should have made the first 6.
Oh,
and I'm
on.
Oh, crazy town. Oh, crazy town. So today is line in the sand day. We're going to play Mayfield or the field. For the next 5 years, who would I rather have?
Okay.
Next 5 years. So that will take, obviously, Breeze, no.
Right.
Next 5 years, Mayfield or the field. Here we go.
All right, Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson's won 80% of his games. Lamar Jackson does something better than any football quarterback in the history of the sport. Moves. This is not close.
Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert?
Not a GM in the league would take Baker over Justin Herbert. He's bigger. He's stronger. He was a 4-point student. He set every rookie quarterback touchdown record they've ever created. Herbert by a mile.
Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr?
Last 2 years, Derek Carr is 101 passer rating. 3 times the TDs over picks. It ain't close. Derek Carr.
Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Now, this is the rub, right? Oh, well, Jimmy gets hurt a lot. I'm not disputing that. And that worries me. But the Niners are awful without him, and we know their roster's good and Shanahan's good. I'd take Garoppolo for the next 5 years and roll the dice on his health.
Baker Mayfield or Matt Ryan?
MVP, Super Bowl, multiple playoff wins. Matt Ryan's 35. He's not 39. Now, if I sign him for 5 years, the last year may be nonsense. I'll make a prediction. Matt Ryan with Arthur Smith, the coach, is going to have 2 really good years. He finally gets an offensive coach. We're all going to like Matt Ryan by November again. I know we're all out on Matt. Watch by November. We're all going to be back in the Matt Ryan fan club.
Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray. Again, Kyler does some things spectacularly. He's not there yet, but he had a big jump rookie year to last year.
Baker Mayfield or Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott. Baker's a better pure thrower of the football. I think Dak's a better athlete. I think he's more mature. I feel there is sort of in the locker room, he's loved by everybody. I think Baker's got some critics inside that locker room.
Baker Mayfield or Ryan Tannehill?
Close, but I saw a stat. Let me give you this. Ryan Tannehill had the second highest passer rating in the last 20 games to Aaron Rodgers. I know we all don't like Ryan Tannehill, but unlike Baker, he doesn't have two great tight ends. He doesn't have the greatest offensive line. Ryan Tannehill, I got to be honest with you, often plays trailing because of that crappy defense. Tannehill's probably the most underrated quarterback in the league today.
Baker or Kirk Cousins?
Close. I would take the maturity and the accuracy of Kirk Cousins. I don't think there's a huge gap. Kirk